So I am over here at my bench checking out this nice old porter cable sander. It's a 352 variable speed. Now I had to fix the wiring job they did on the inside. They didn't crimp it properly. There were some issues, and if you flip it over, there's actually a missing screw. They broke out the area where the screw would engage, and on this side they had worn out the threads. They had stripped the holes, and so I had to make some custom screws. There's a Phillips screw in there. That was, let's see if I've got one. If I do, it fell to the floor because, well, at one point or another I didn't care about it. Anyway, here's the original screw, and I had to replace that. See, it was too short, so I replaced it with about a 1/4 inch longer screw, and that worked pretty well. Going through, if I go through this, Porter Cable wants to sell me this piece, this little switch here. There's not a whole lot that can go wrong with this, and it's unlikely that this piece is even damaged. It's just the dial that controls this guy, and this is a triac. And I thought I had some of these, but the ones I have are lower voltage, which it's a little difficult to find things using the phone camera, actually. Whoops. And these are switches with part number so that I can order them again. There they are. Alright. So, these guys. Now, these are great. Unfortunately, these are the wrong size. They're low voltage. I think they operate from something like 2 volts to 30 volts. So they're not the right size. Now, when I do this, I'll have to come up with a heatsink, because that's what this brass part here is a heatsink for that. And I shall have to try to pull it apart right here without damaging any of these wires, because I don't want to solder anymore. I had to pull the white wire, the neutral wire, the common wire, had to pull it through here into the motor arbor to solder it on this side. And it'll operate full speed, which is fine for most things that I do anyway. And that also tells me that there's probably nothing wrong with this switch, but there is something wrong with this. But I would like to replace that, and so there's nothing for me to do except to order a new part that goes in here. And I have some old heatsink that looks similar to the ones used on my butt converters. These guys. Actually, this is a booster. So this is 12 to 30 volt booster. I have some similar looking heat sinks to these, and I could saw it out and actually have a decent heat sink on there, so I'd have more surface area. Unfortunately, I can't use, I thought about using one of those, but those are the, yeah, you know, they're high enough voltage, but not high enough amperage. So there's a few other options. Like, I could use this guy. It's rated high enough, but it's not metal, and I worry that it might get too hot inside of the tool, because tools are designed for constant use, whereas the part that came out of usually is on for about 15 or 20 seconds, and then you turn it off. So, in my adventures while repairing this, I discovered that I'm out of solder flux, so I had to come up with a workaround, and here's my workaround. And it worked very well. I just put a very tiny bit of this polish on the wires that I needed to join, and it worked very satisfactorily as a flux. And it resulted in a very strong solder contact. I was actually impressed. So that's where I stand. Basically, I'm going to get this tool free, because the amount of time that I've put in this he could easily buy a new one. I don't think that he wants to spend $150 to pay me for this tool, which is, you know, fine for me, because to me, I would have tinkered with it regardless. And nothing's wrong with it. It's still got a decent plat in here. It could use probably could use a new one, but I can buy that part. The rubber's fine. I actually went across it to double check that it was okay, and there was a few rough spots like that, and I just buffed them out. No big deal. The aluminum up here is in perfect shape. It had what looked like a flat spot on it, but when I went over it, it wasn't flat at all. Just a weird, super shiny spot. I had worried that he dropped it or something. But it'll be a good sander once I get it fixed. And I may just break down and buy the genuine Porter cable part. It's only $23. It doesn't cost that much. It's a heck of a lot cheaper than a new tool. You know, of course, it won't bring back the warranty or anything special like that, but all I will have to do is decrimp this piece and put this whole assembly back on there. Now, how do I keep track of all the parts while working on tools like this? It's actually pretty easy. When you take a screw out of the hole, you just put it right back in there. This is the screw that holds the heat sink in place. That's it. Take a picture and move on to the next part. So these centered, this is a centered gear. It's pretty interesting how this stuff works. It's basically a compressed metal powder with a binding agent, and it's usually nickel or something like that is the binding agent. But that's pretty neat. So I guess it looks like I will soon have a brand new sander. I just hate that it broke for them, but you know, I don't think it's worth their money to pay me to fix it. If they had the part sitting there, or maybe if I had gotten to it before somebody else had gotten to it, then it would have been worth the time and the money. But considering somebody tried to fix it first, not worth it. As you can see, my shop is a mess. Still, I have my reasons. I got hurt. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. But I actually have done some work. As you can see, this big area is relatively clear. This desk was given to me while I was hurt. It's going to be moved out of here. It's an old sewing desk. I'll put one of my sewing machines on top of it just to have an extra work surface. All the metal surface tools are actually nice and clean because, well, I took the time to clean them while a friend was over. And I will have a metal lathe coming soon. It'll come in here and sit right here until I get it fixed. I didn't do much in the tool room. Again, I was hurt. I had some pretty good plans for it. I've been keeping this room clean, except there is a TV that still needs some work. And I gotta do something about that stopping mechanism. So relatively clean in here. Just some stuff I had been working on. Christmas present supplies, empty desk, television that I was working on. I need to replace the master board here. It's not putting out the proper voltage, which is fine. It's about 50 bucks, and it'll be basically a brand new smart TV. And that's all that's wrong. Everything else seems to check out. If not, well, you know, I'm down 40 bucks. It's not a whole bunch. It's a heck of a lot cheaper than buying a used TV off of Craigslist or something. So, whoops. And as you can see, my friend gave me a heater. It is actually nice and warm in here because I have been running this. And it's a little loud, but once you get to working, everything you do outweighs everything this heater puts out. So it gets nice and warm in here. It's actually 60 degrees in this room, and it's a little under that outside. And I only had this running for about 30 or 40 minutes while I was working in here, so it got pretty comfortable. And actually, if you were standing over here where it's blowing while the door was closed, It actually got almost a little bit too hot, but I'm not complaining. And that feels good. It's nice and warm. So, thank you again, Ed. So, let's see. I'm just kind of doing a shop update, I guess. Not too much out here, but I did get some more wood. Trying to keep this door closed properly. There we go. Yeah, my super advanced system. I got an old tile roller and a plank. It works pretty well, actually. I've had some new pieces of machinery come in here to work on. They're probably going to get donated, but not until after I get them fixed and running properly. I recently had ducts. I've got some corian to work with. I need to put that sink upstairs. Let's see here. Oh yeah, new wood. Let's see, I've got some more mahogany here. I've got two pieces of mahogany. There's this piece, and they're both a little over 6 or 7 feet long. And I also have some nice oak and some curly maple. Unfortunately, my joiner got a little rusty, but that's not a big deal. I'll take a few minutes after I'm done talking here and go over it with the wire wheel and have it cleaned up. My saw has been a catch-all because I've been working on stuff, including that Porter cable sander. There's a microwave I need to pull the transformer out of. No, I will not do anything with the transformers other than maybe make spot welders or things like that. Will not do Lichtenbergs with those. Christmas tree needs to go upstairs. This is kind of a reminder for me and a shop update at the same time. I'm really happy with my tool boards. These make it easy to work. And of course it's very easy to add things to. Just a nail and a pair of pliers is all you need. And you can hang your tools up there, easy to get to for you. And while I guess some people would say, oh, that's convenient for a thief, I would say it's probably more inconvenient because a thief can easily grab a toolbox full of tools, whereas he'd basically have to walk out with handfuls of tools, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. So people who steal things are typically lazy, and yeah, hopefully nobody steals my stuff because that would be devastating, and I would have pictures of them and would probably hunt them down. So here's the entertainment center that I've yet to work on anymore. I need to darken the stain on the inside. I need to buy a new pad for my sander. Not too much going on that. My air compressor is still working like a champ. I've got a big bag of sawdust there. And let me be light. Compressor. This is Franken compressor. A friend gave me the compressor, the tank, and another friend gave me this big 3 horsepower motor. Actually, I think it might be a 5 horse. I don't know. It's a really nice motor though, and I really do appreciate it. It's running on 240 volts, hardwired in. It has too big of a breaker on it though. I do need to reduce the size of the breaker, though I doubt it will ever burn it up. I still appreciate the safety. Let's see. I got this working while my hand was hurt. It took a long time, but it beat the alternative. And I think that's about it as far as shop updates go. I have a handful of decent materials here that I've been wanting to work with. Some mahogany, another type of mahogany, or actually, excuse me, this is heat-treated poplar or heat-treated ash. I can't remember which. I'm looking forward to messing with that. There's some poplar in here, more mahogany, quite a bit of mahogany. I think there's a few pieces of cherry. I think that's cherry, actually. A lot of mahogany and walnut. Mahogany, more of that. See that heat treated stuff? It's typically a white wood but after they put it in a kiln, it becomes this dark color. It's pretty interesting stuff. Just some random scraps, essentially just materials to use for other projects, and just look forward to messing with them. I have another set of hinges in the works, sitting. They were sitting right here. Ah, here they are. These are going to be another set of wooden hinges, and it's going to be a short set for another box. I have that nice white oak, and I was thinking about making a small cabinet with it. And I'd like to make wooden hinges again because they seem to be pretty durable, and Eds have worked out very well. Need to buy a new pad for this guy. While I was sanding, something ate into it pretty well. And actually, I think I set it down on top of something, and that's what ate into it. But that doesn't help me any. Having a damaged tool is no good. So that's it. Shop update. We'll get out here. My wife bought me some more batteries for my GoPro, so I'll be able to get back out here and